connected by following us on social media. There you'll find a steady flow of information on CyberDogs, our customers, and the work that we do. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/CyberDogsMarketing, on Instagram at instagram.com/CyberDogsMarketing, or on Twitter at twitter.com/CyberDogsLTD. Welcome to another episode of Brand Retro. Today I have from Pete's Diary, Pete Dankelson, and his mom is joining us today to do a quick interview about, kind of his TikTok process, what all goes into it, and just kind of all the fun he's having rocking on TikTok. So welcome to the podcast, Pete. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm very good. Very good. I'm going to let you just jump in and kind of tell us a little bit about your background and kind of what led up to the point of you getting on TikTok and how you became a content creator.
Let's see. So I think kind of the beginning of everything was Pete's Diary. Basically, Pete's Diary is the company that Mom really started.
Yeah, but with TikTok, what was the beginning of TikTok?
Well, I think TikTok kind of began because of quarantine.
That's a blessing of quarantine, huh?
I kind of randomly started a Pete's Diary TikTok account in early 2020, before COVID.
Yeah, it was like just a few months before.
Because our primary business in the beginning with Pete's Diary was speaking to schools, to kids about inclusion and kindness, because Peter has golden heart syndrome, and which is a craniofacial facial difference. So he looks different. So there's no hiding from that. So we kind of word of mouth just spoke at a lot of schools. We'd get invited to come in for inclusion and diversity weeks and things like that. And so we were headed to California for like our 5th year in a row to speak at some schools out there. And I randomly started the TikTok account because I'm like, well, that's where the kids are, right? Like trying to figure out where our audience is. And I thought they would enjoy following Pete's Diary. And it was great. And then we came back and then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And so then it was like, well, what do we do now? Because all of our speaking was canceled. And the social channels were all geared toward teachers and educators. But I noticed that he got more engagement on social when he posted his music videos, his guitar. So the guitar was after the speaking. Yeah. He started speaking when he was like in middle school, like he's 12, maybe 10, 12 years old. Yeah. And now he's 20. So, and he's only been playing guitar for 5 years. So I'm going to let you take it from there then, because then we were kind of like, bored during quarantine. So he kept posting these guitar videos and they were like doing really well on social. I'm like, well, there seems to be something to this here. Because we were always kind of struggling to define our audience on social media.
So you dusted over it. I don't think you meant to, but I just want to call out and kind of make mention and let anybody who's listening to this and who has checked out Pete's TikTok page. He's been playing for 5 years. Is that possible?
Yeah, I picked up the guitar, 5 years ago. And really, I just kind of went on YouTube and learned a couple of chords. And I've been obsessed ever since. Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, just a little.
See, I'm pretty good at the rhythm of these podcasts, but that actually stumped me. I'm like, 5 years. Holy cow.
Yes. And a lot of people don't realize Pete's Diary existed as the speaking. Honestly, we just volunteered for a charity that we're involved with, Children's Craniofacial Association. And it was just making a difference for kids like Peter in schools. So, we didn't even charge for speaking. And, once Peter got in high school, we were kind of like, well, what's next after high school? I created an LLC. I established it as an LLC. And we did start to charge for some of the speaking, make more of a business out of it. But during that time, then he picked the guitar up and it was like, well, this changes everything. And you posted Hotel California, you posted a solo. So really at that point, the TikTok account, and he didn't even want me to start it. He was like, I don't want to do that. But he posted, you'd only been playing 4 years at that. When COVID hit, you'd been playing 4 years. And we were just starting to kind of integrate the guitar playing into the speaking with the kids. And it was great because we would have like a little dance party after the presentation really and we'd do the wave and stuff. And you'd be, kids were like, wow, this is cool. pursue your passion and find something and be proud of it, whatever it is. If you're a Dungeons and Dragons kind of guy or gal, go for it, do the competitions, play, like, don't be embarrassed about it. And for Pete, it was a guitar. So Hotel California, what happened with that?
Well, yeah, that kind of unexpectedly just, blew up. And it's kind of like, okay, maybe there is something to this. After all, that kind of roped me in. Because, kind of before that, it was just like, I'll just kind of throw stuff out there, just kind of, once every couple of days. And then once that kind of blew up, kind of roped me in. And I'm like, okay, I have an audience now. This is really cool.
Well, you get kind of excited about it.
Yeah, that's really what
I've been posting stuff on social media for the last few years with very little engagement, and we were targeting more educators and kids, middle school age, high school. And it was just not much engagement. But seeing that video just like, it got 1 million views, and then, whatever it was. And it was like, well, this is kind of cool, So like, maybe you should do another one of those.
Well, clearly your ability to play is exceptional, and especially in that amount of time. So that's mind blowing. But I also think it was incredibly smart. And whether it was an accidental, happy accident, however you want to say it, when you merged, your philanthropy with your passion and your skill for guitar, that is really incredible and really impressive. And it's amazing that it's only been that short amount of time, because technically then, has it been a year since the pandemic hit and when you started this process?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's great is we finally have an audience that engages with us on social. So that's been a really, it's kept us going during the pandemic since we didn't have the speaking gigs. But it's just been so messages. So let me back up. The second video that you did that went viral was not a guitar video. Right. It was about his hearing aid, which was cool because we're like, okay, people obviously, and one of the comments we kept getting after the hearing aid video was like, well, I was drawn in by the talent because it was, like the guitar covers were so good. But then I'm like, wait a minute, he has a story. Like, what's the deal with his ear and his hearing aid? Because he's missing his left ear and he has a cochlear implant. And so Peter did a video kind of about it. And you've always used humor to kind of help people get comfortable about his differences. And it attaches with a magnet, so he can stick magnets to his head.
I've seen you post about that. And just because you're bringing it up, I think the way you handle the reality of that, how you handle the trolls, I think is a class act, because there's trolls and there's people out there that are just looking to take jabs and for no reason other than they must be. But you handle it with such class and grace. So kudos to you. And it's just awesome to see, you kind of hit that head on and just embrace it. And it is what it is. And you deal with it.
So that second video that went viral, talk about that a little bit, when that little boy duetted it.
Yeah. So, that was one of the really cool things. Somebody, a younger kid with a pretty facial difference, he duetted the video and he's like, I finally found somebody else like me. And, he was thrown off his hearing aids too and all. And it's so cool. It's really
It's so heartwarming to see a kid like that. And his handle just broke my heart because his TikTok handle was like ugly boy or something.
Oh, geez.
It just broke my heart. And, but he was so excited. He was probably about 10. He was so excited in that video. Like, I finally found someone like me and I can hang magnets from my head too. And this is pretty cool,
Right.
He was, yeah. We've had a few things like that.
Yeah. So with over 342,000 followers and over 5.8 million likes, I got to believe this has changed things for you a little bit. You have to be somewhat recognized in public at this point. And what is that like?
I've had that experience a few times now. It's kind of strange. I'm not used to that at all. Actually, one time we were eating around here locally just a few weeks ago. Mom and Dad, they were staying back, just kind of paying for the bill. And then me and Jake just decided to head home early. So we're like, okay, we'll just head home. And Jake's my brother. So we're like, okay, we'll just head out. But, we walked out and we hop in the car. We're literally like pulling out of the parking space, right? And this guy starts flagging us down. And I'm like, did you do something? Like, I'm like, like, what's going on? Like, I'm like, did you drop something? Or, what happened? So, I roll down the window and he walks over and, holds up his phone. He's like, is this you? And it was actually it was an Instagram video. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's me. He's like, dude, I love your videos. I'm like, oh, well, thanks. It was so funny.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
officially
I
TikTok
did not
famous.
expect that at all when, getting flagged down. As we're going out of the parking space, I'm like, what, did you do something?
You've been recognized at the airport too.
Yeah, that was kind of
randomly.
And even at a restaurant too. I think
yeah, like in another state, yeah.
I think it was actually the waiter. He's like, oh, hey, I love your videos. I'm like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, the rest of us just roll our eyes like, oh my
Yeah.
God, really?
Yeah.
Especially a brother.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
please.
Yeah.
So I've been following your page for about 6 months, and how I got to find you as a friend of mine and had sent it to me. And I'll be honest, like my first impression, I thought you were just air guitaring. Like
Oh.
I was just kind of watching it and I'm like, oh, so he's air guitaring. And then I looked at your profile and I kept going and I'm like, no, he's really playing that? That's incredible. Because I was impressed with not only how spot on accurate, like you're fantastic, but the range of, it's not like you're good at one song. You're kind of good at all of them. So tell me a little bit about that process and how you've been able to just pick it up that way.
I don't know. It's kind of like, learning one song. It can kind of help you learn another. So, a lot of things can kind of build off of each other, especially for the tunes that I play. There's for the most part, there's a certain like thing you can kind of fall back on, or like you can kind of see an idea of what would be going on.
Okay, so there's a little bit of a pattern there.
Sometimes. And then if I am, when I do get stuck on something, I go on YouTube and see if there's a lesson for it. Like that's nice if I'm doing like a really popular song, like Comfortably Numb or something. There's tons of videos out there about it. Find the best video, see who might be teaching it the best or something, and figuring out the part. And then especially for Pink Floyd, the hard part's trying to put in the feel. That's the big struggle with that too.
Do you kind of use that to your advantage as you plan out content?
Yeah, a lot of the time.
So what's the frequency of content that you're producing, and what's that? I mean, it has to have probably changed your weekly schedule because you're producing content on a crazy basis, and it probably takes days to do it all, edit it all, post it all.
Well, to be honest, it's kind of off and on. There's some days where I'm like, okay, I can knock out this today, or yeah. It really is kind of off and on. There's not really too much of a set schedule.
You post every day though, don't you?
Almost. Not, I don't know. Lately it's been like maybe every other day or something, or maybe sometimes if I'm really kind of on a roll, I'll get something going. So I don't know. It used to be every day for a long time, but that kind of got to be a bit much. I'm like, because I am trying to work on some original stuff too. So I'm like, okay, let's just, keep doing this obviously, but, just tone it down just a little bit so I can focus on some other stuff.
Eventually
too.
you're kind of like, who else can I do? Like, who else can I play?
That's what I'm stuck on now. I'm like, okay, I've already done that song.
What's impressive to me is when you go live. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his lives, but people just randomly request things and he can play licks from everything. It's just like his dad and I are like, he can't remember to pick up his socks and put his laundry away, but he can remember like 50 different songs from the 80s.
For the most part, yeah.
So how has this changed? I mean, I know it's probably changed your day to day, right? But how has this changed what's next for Pete? I mean, I know you're playing live shows. I know that, you've had other musicians call you out, like your stuff, whatever. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about what that's been like and how maybe it's changed your perspective of, hey, here's the direction I want to go with my life. So
I think, let's see, it is kind of crazy, especially not only on TikTok, but Instagram's really gotten a lot of attention too. And on Instagram, like I know Zach Wilde, he follows the page, and like a lot of other guys that I really look up to. It's just kind of like, holy cow. That's why I haven't really tackled any other Ozzy songs. I'm like, I really got to do a good job if I know Zach's going to see it.
Yeah, that's intimidating.
Yeah. So yeah, some tunes are a bit intimidating too. Or like one time on TikTok, actually it's kind of funny. So Slash has a Blazing Guns N' Roses, right? But he has his solo band, which is Slash featuring Niles Kennedy and the Conspirators. They're one of my favorite bands. I love their stuff. And I posted a couple covers out there before. So I remember one day I just kind of randomly, logged on and I saw SMKC official, mentioned you in a video, and it was a repost. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, a fan account. But then I went back later and I saw that it was verified. And I'm like, wait a second, hold on. So kind of, and then later on, I'm like, I think this might actually be Slash running the account. And then I kind of went, wait a minute. That means he's seen some of my videos. So I'm like, man, I would have tried that. I would have tried a little bit harder there. Not that I did it before, but I would have.
Yeah.
You're doing well when you don't even notice Slash interacting with your account, right?
Oh, he noticed.
I noticed, and yeah, it was exciting. Yeah,
that's great.
You put it out there, you never know who might see it.
Yeah, it's kind of a big thing. Yeah.
But what's next for you? Like, you've built this social following now, so
it's kind of exciting because I've got this following now. Now a lot of people are asking, of course, are you gonna, when are you gonna be putting out music? And I'm working on, an album right now. And man, it's a slow process, but it's moving forward. It's a slow process, but it is moving forward. Got a drummer, and now we got a singer on board. So things are moving in the right direction with these, with these tunes and all that. It's just got to get there. It takes time.
Yeah, and technically you've only been at it for a year, which is crazy to think about. I mean, it blew my mind when you said you've only been playing for 5 years, but when you really think about how long you've been on this kind of growth plan for TikTok and the content you're producing, it's a year is not long.
No, it's been fun. It's kind of like we're trying to figure out what's next too, in addition to the music and the speaking and things like that. So we've created we're taking the speaking instead of just just a typical presentation with a PowerPoint. We want to make it more of a multimedia production where it's more of a rock concert, a motivational rock concert where he's playing, he's got his SG up there and ripping some AC/DC licks, but you're also hearing parts of his story and how he's coped with adversity and persevered and pursued his passion and what that means to live your best life in a positive way and how you can do it.
Yeah. Dee Dee, you're great at setting me up for my next questions, but I love the account. I love what Pete's doing. I love the power of optimism, the humor, the different things that are going into this because it's so fun to watch and the music's awesome. So that's just an added bonus as far as I'm concerned. But what would be your overall message of positivity for somebody that was in your place a year ago that's trying to start a TikTok or trying to find their outlet?
I think the big thing really is just be yourself. Don't try and be somebody that you're not. Because I see tons of stuff on my For You page where, like, I don't know, some people, I don't know, they say one thing and then like a week later there's something else. It just, I don't know, it seems kind of strange. And also kind of, less serious, but very true. If you want to do, guitar stuff on TikTok, play the hits.
Yeah.
And play it well. Kind of try your best to nitpick it because people kind of catch on to that stuff.
Yeah,
well,
totally agree.
The comments that you get, I think, is that you actually perform. Like, your videos are engaging because you perform for the video, not just. You're not just playing, staring down at your hands. So you have an audience. You have to remember there is an audience for that.
Yeah, intentional or not, you can tell by watching your videos that you are having a ton of fun and that you are living your passion. So I think you're killing it. So keep it up. And yeah, I just love what you're doing.
Thanks.
Yeah, it definitely comes through.
Well, guys, I appreciate you coming on. I want to respect your guys' time and get you back to your day. But before I let you go, I did want to throw it out to you guys. Let me know what your thoughts are. But I know you've been at this for about a year, Pete. And in my world, my company, what we do is we create logos, brands, identities for companies, and then we supplement with graphic design, websites, and all this different stuff. If you're open to it and if you like the idea, I would like to offer to build you or create a logo for your brand at no charge and just do something cool, something that rocks and something that you can use, not only on your social channels, but maybe maybe you make t-shirts, hats out of it, and you can start to kind of merchandise some of that stuff as well.
That would be awesome because we're trying to come up with like a fan club package or something. Mm-hmm. So a logo would be perfect because I guess the other thing when you talk about the social accounts, like when you start them, we haven't, I would say, been successful at monetizing, even though we have such a big following. But that's in part because we're just not that's not our thing in terms of, yes, we'd like to monetize and financially support the account and your, album and recording that you want to do and some things we want to do, but we're not like fashion models, like where he's not getting like, you're not going to make commission off of selling jeans or, whatever. It's just not, that's not our accounts. And I think that's why people like it too, but then it's also kind of like that balance,
Yeah.
Right. And I don't want to make this, I want to respect the fact that your guys' story is the whole point of this podcast today. But from a brand perspective, I think it's cool when you can take what you're doing and create an icon or some kind of a symbol that represents that. And whether it's a combination of the music and the philanthropy or just maybe it's just about Pete, whatever that is, I think going through that process and solidifying what that icon is for you would open up some doors as to whether or not you want to monetize it at all or whether or not it just becomes a symbol or representation of your brand. So it could be something pretty cool to do what you want with it. Maybe it goes on your first album, whatever you want. It's up to you. Exactly. But I would like to help you get there. And like I said, at no charge, we will step in and kind of be that guide for you, and we'll do something cool, something fun.
Oh, that would be awesome. And that would be really fun, I think. Mm-hmm. Yes, because this all happened so fast and so organically, and it's just him and I doing this. So, it can be kind of overwhelming. And like I said, we were always targeting like the schools, and we've stepped away from that. And I love the audience we've built. It's a positive community, and it's music enthusiasts. Music unites people, I think, and it's all about that feel good vibe. And people just they want to see you be successful. So I love all that. So, but we're kind of behind on the marketing side.
And just to
figure all that out.
Just to throw this at you so you don't feel like you're behind on it. Things don't necessarily always happen in order. So like when I work with startups, companies, whatever, everybody kind of has a well laid out plan and they kind of think it's going to be a very progressional process. But what happens is it gets all jumbled, and whatever you had as number 5 happened before 2 and 3. And all of a sudden it's like, this is so hard. It's a mess. And the reality is it just doesn't always happen the way you hope that it would. So you just kind of take them as they come, try to check all the boxes and just deal with it. And I think the way you guys have handled it in a short amount of time, I don't think it's a mess at all. I think you've done really well. So congratulations. And
we keep throwing stuff out there, and it seems to be working as far as at least people enjoy it, which, makes us happy. So, but eventually, we have to figure out how to make a living at it, or you do. Dad says you can't live in the upstairs loft forever, the basement forever.
Well, thank you again, guys, for coming on. I really appreciate it. I will reach out to you offline and we'll talk about kind of how we start that logo brand process. But thanks again. Keep up the good work. And like I said, your content is phenomenal. So keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome. And it's nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, keep rocking.
Thank you.
Keep rocking. Thank you.
Thanks.
If you'd like to learn more about CyberDogs, share your thoughts, or even ask a specific question about this episode and or the brand retro mindset, contact me directly at mike@cyberdogsmarketing.com.